Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I'm going to be doing another recent reads and romance video. I'm so excited for these. I love talking about romance novels, and I've not been reading as many as I'd hoped. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about romance novels that are strictly just straight up romance, adult romance, trashy novels in this series, because other books that I feature on here that do have romance in them have different content in them, and I'd like to put them in a different category. So these are going to be my contemporary adult romances that are kind of almost trashy but have a great story. So yes, let's jump into it. I've read 3 books, and then I'm going to feature one of Kristen Ashley's books because I did an all about the author for her, but I did not talk in depth about each book. So I'm going to be picking one off the top of my head because I just love Kristen Ashley and I really want to promote her, and I really love her books. So yeah, let's just jump into the videos that let's just jump into the books, the recent books that I've read that feature, that are about romance. Not all about romance. They're romance books. They're romance. The first one that I read is called Skin Deep, and this is by an author that I have no freaking clue I don't know her name. Oh my god, I don't know her name. Abort. The first book that I have is called Skin in the Game, and it's by Jackie Barbosa. This is a first book in a series, and it is a Brazen novel by Entangled, because those are my favorite. They're my favorite. If you guys have not picked up a Brazen novel, I highly recommend, especially if you like romance. If you guys like adult romance, obviously you do, because if you're watching this video, we're on the same page here. But I love Brazen novels. Brazen. They're probably called Brazen. I always Brazen? I don't know. Anyway, I really love these novels, and I have very good luck with them most of the time. Some of them I'm kind of iffy on, but most of them I have super good luck with them. So yeah, Brazen novel. Brazen. Anyway, it's the first book in a series, and it's a football romance novel. It's football season. I love football. Why not read a book about a football player falling in love with a totally normal non-football player girl? No. What? Anyway. This book is about two characters, because that's how many it takes to tango. Okay, so this book is about Angela and Cade. And Angela and Cade are from the same exact town. And Cade was a star quarterback in her small town, and he went on to play in the NFL. And then he got hurt, I think. Oh geez. Something happened to him, and he has decided to take a little bit of a hiatus/vacation, and he went back to his hometown and kind of is taking over the high school football team to coach them while the head coach is sick. He's out with like pneumonia or something like that, and he's planning on retire anyway. So that is kind of who Cade is, and Angela is from the small town, never left the small town. She loves football, totally loves football, and she is actually the high school football coach. She's a math teacher and the assistant football coach. So she is, I think she's offense coach. It doesn't matter. If you don't know football, then it's not a big deal what kind of coach she is. But yeah, and it's kind of about her dealing with being a woman in that kind of, manly sort of sport, and it's totally manly. Manly sport, and it's about her dealing with that, and also she had a very large crush on Cade in high school. So they kind of have this chemistry going on, and Cade really likes her and is totally in lust with her. So the story kicks off from there. It's a lot of banter, a lot of I don't really like you, but really I'm super attracted to you type of thing, something I really enjoy, and it features football. There's not an overwhelmingly amount of football, but if you enjoy football like I do, it was really nice to see and really fun to read about because I'm obsessed. So yes, this is the first one that I read. The next one that I read is actually a part of a series, and that is Rowdy. And it's by Jay Cronover, and Rowdy is book number 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actually. It's book number 5 in the Marked Men series, and Marked Men follows these guys. Well, it's kind of confusing because some of them are tattoo artists, the majority of them are tattoo artists, and 2 of them are friends of these main tattoo artists, so it's kind of confusing. But so basically this is about a group of friends that work in or around a tattoo shop, and I love the rebels, right? I love tattoos. I love everything about them. So again, another book that features content that I'm interested in and enjoy, but hopefully you enjoy it. But this book follows Rowdy, and I kind of want you guys to read the whole series before you get to this one. It's not super important, especially if you're like me, where you just kind of skip around in romance series anyway, but it's kind of to get a more sense of like the whole group of the friends and everything, because they're all interlacing throughout the story. I would recommend reading the other books in the series, but I'll tell you what Rowdy's about because Rowdy's awesome, and I like Rowdy a lot. So Rowdy is about, obviously, Rowdy, and he's had a very hard childhood, and he lived in this really small town in Texas and played football and just kind of wasn't really what he wanted to do. He wanted to do art, he wanted to tattoo people, he wanted to be a little bit of a bad boy. When he was younger, he had these two best friends. One of them he was half in love with, or more than half in love with, and one of them was just kind of like a girl that helped him through his struggles and was just like a rock for him, just a best friend. And when this girl turned 18, she left. So Rowdy has a lot of bad feelings towards her because she kind of just left without saying anything, and he's kind of, like I said, he had a bad childhood, and that was kind of like a bad thing to do for him. And anyway, 15 years later, so 10 years later, I think, probably 10 years later, she comes back into his life and she runs the tattoo shops, and she kind of is helping promote this tattoo shop, and they're trying to open another store and all this stuff throughout the story. And so her and Rowdy kind of have this connection. They really like each other, but she's kind of like, well, he was in love with my sister, and he's kind of like, well, she left me. So it's kind of like this whole jumbled mess, and it's so much fun. I love these novels. They're so much fun, easy to read, laugh out loud, really heartwarming. I love Jay Cronover. I love what she promotes. She's all about, you know, finding yourself and being who you are and not excusing that, and I just really, really love those types of stories. So yeah, I really love this series. The first one in this series is called Rule. It's called Rule, and then Jet, Rome, Nash, and Rowdy. So it's all the main guys' characters' names, and they're all very good. I think Rowdy was probably my favorite, one of my favorites. Yeah, I don't know, I really like all of them, but the first one is my all-time favorite, and then Nash and Rowdy are like, that would be my top three. So, yep, I would highly recommend picking up this series if you've not yet, and I talked a whole bunch about it, so I'm going to move on, but Rowdy was another one that I've read. The last romance novel that I've read recently is Archer's Voice, and this is by Mia Sheridan. And the reason why I picked this one up was because when I was going through and voting on Goodreads for Goodreads awards and things like that, I saw this on the romance page. I mean, my girl Kristen Ashley had a book, so obviously there's no choice. I had to pick her book. But I saw this one on the romance page, and I was really curious, and I clicked on it, and I saw a few videos about it. So I was really curious about it, and I was like, you know what, might as well get it. It sounds interesting. I kind of went into it not knowing what it was about, but what I did know sounded kind of interesting, so I ended up picking it up, and it was really, really good. I don't know if it was beating Kristen Ashley type material, but it was definitely really good, and I enjoyed it. I think I ended up giving it a 4 stars or 5 stars. I ended up giving it a 4.5 stars, which is kind of high for me in romance novels, because sometimes if a romance novel is really good to me, it's usually a 4 stars. So 4.5 is really good. So yeah, but anyway, enough talking about that. I've hyped it up. Now I'm going to tell you what it's about. It's about this girl, and she went through something really traumatic in her life, and it kind of pushes her to leave her hometown and just go on an adventure of sorts, and she ends up landing in this small town, a lakeside town in Maine, that she used to visit when she was a kid, and she just kind of starts to build a life there with the intention of leaving soon. She kind of just needs a break from all of her friends and everything, the memories that happened in her town and things like that. So she just kind of wants to go to a different place. And then she meets this guy named Archer, and she meets him in this really awkward situation, and he doesn't really say anything to her, and he kind of just ignores her, and it makes her curious. So she asks around about him, and she finds out more about him than what she originally thought she would, and basically it's about her kind of breaking her way into his life, and it was very, very interesting. I think the main thing that I liked so much about this story was that at first it was not really a romance story. It was more of a friendship type of story, and I love those types of romances because I'm all about friends falling in love. I just like that whole situation. It's one of my favorite tropes, and so this story kind of has that feel to it, and I don't know, overall I just really, really, really liked it. The twists and the surprises in the story were really interesting. A lot of it was heartbreaking, and a lot of it just kind of made me want to shrivel up a little bit, but in a good way. So yeah, I ended up giving, like I said, a 4.5 stars. It was really good. I don't know, I recommend it. It is part of a series, but it's a standalone part. I guess Mia Sheridan, I did not know this, but I have hunted down Mia Sheridan, because if I find one author that I really like in romance, I read all of her books, because that's just a thing that I do. And so I hunted her down on Goodreads and looked at her books, and this book is featured in the Signs of Love series. Let me double check on the name of that. Yeah, Sign of Love series, and it's a standalone version of it. It's like standalone novel, and I did not have any, and it's later on in the series, and they did not mention any other characters. So like, they never said anything about characters. There's no couples in there, so it's not any type of spoils or anything like that going on. I don't know if it was a prequel, like this couple was featured later on or what, but I don't know how it fits into the Sign of Love series. I'd be interested if you know. You can let me know. But I'm definitely planning on reading more of her books, and I will update you guys more in these types of videos to let you know how I'm doing with them and things like that. But yeah, that was the last romance novel that I read. I really liked that one. Probably the best one that I've read so far in a long time. Like, out of the three, that one was my favorite. So just to say, even though Rowdy holds a special place in my heart, Archer's voice was really good. It was really, really good. But yeah, so the last book that I have to mention is my all-time favorite Kristen Ashley novel. I've talked about this in a few videos, but I've not actually shown some light into it, so I thought I'd give you the lowdown and tell you what it's all about. I think I've talked about it once in an old video, so we're moving on from that, Sarah. Go on and tell you what it's about. So the book that I'm going to be talking about today is Lady Luck, and this is obviously by Kristen Ashley. This is the third book in the Colorado Mountain series, and yes, I'm jumping around a little bit, not starting with the first one. If you like somebody who likes to read things in order, 100% start with the first and the second book. If you kind of jump around in your series, like I was mentioning before with Rowdy, this one, it would be fine to start with. The overarching plot point in the whole series is heavily involved in this one, but I think it pretty much gets started. It starts a little bit in the second one, but this one kind of features the whole plot for the whole series, so definitely this one is a good one to start with if you are looking to get into the series and you were like, Sarah, really like this book. What is it about? I wouldn't say it has too many spoils. It spoils the first one for the two main characters in the first one a little bit, not too much, but it tells you like how their story happened and like actually what happened to her. It doesn't go into detail or anything, but it talks about what happened to the main character and things like that. So like I said, if you are strict about not being spoiled in your series and you're strict from reading them start to finish, I definitely start with the first one. This is probably one of my favorite series by her, so good to go there. But if you wanted to know more about Kristen Ashley and you kind of want to just have a starting point, this one, I don't know if I would start with this one if you're just getting into Kristen Ashley. So, but if you've read a few Kristen Ashley books and you want to read more, okay, listen, I just want to talk about this book. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I really love this book and I want to talk about it. So yeah, let's just jump into it, and you guys can decide for yourself whether you want to read it or not. Am I all about the authors that Kristen Ashley's novels feature really alpha males? Well, the main character in this book, Ty, he is probably the most alpha that I've read out of all of her books so far. Just not saying much, very, I don't know, he's just very different than most of her characters, which is why I love him so much, and yeah, so that's just kind of like a disclaimer. If you don't like that alpha male thing, I wouldn't recommend Kristen Ashley's book in general, but I wouldn't recommend this one to start with. Just saying. At the beginning of this one, let me tell you the story first, then we'll get into it. But basically, this story is about Ty, like I said, and it's about Lexi. And Lexi is, let's talk about Lexi, because it's in first person, so Lexi had a very rough start in life. She had parents who were addicted to drugs, and she lived with her grandpa for a while, and then she got put into foster care system and met this guy, and this guy was not very good for her, and she really loved him, but she couldn't really follow his path in life, and she literally picked herself up out of this really bad situation and made a good life for herself. But this guy that she was dating set it up so that way maybe she was a little bit more connected to this bad world than what she wanted to be. And by that I mean like her boyfriend's best friend calls on her for favors sometimes. little favors here or there, not a big deal. But he calls for a big favor, and the big favor is that she goes and picks up this guy in California. She lives in Texas, goes to California, picks up this guy, takes him wherever he wants, takes him wherever he wants to go, and that's just basically the favor. However, she's picking him up out of prison. She does not know him. She's picking him up out of prison. And number 2, the best friend dude, the bad guy, Shift is his name, he didn't tell her the whole story of what she had to do. So I'm not going to tell you any more than that about the plot, but yeah, Lexi and the plot is really, really good. Very, very, a little bit tropey. There is a little bit of a trope in there, but the way Kristen Ashley does it, I love it. I can't complain. And then Ty got in trouble with the law a little bit, and I don't want to go too much in depth, but things are a little bit more sketchy when it comes to what he did than anybody really knows. Well, his friends know, but no one else really knows. So yeah, and this story is about them and just the awesomeness that is them, and it's so good. It features just the greatest best friends ever, a really thick, like, thriller type plot, and just really overall a great story. I love, like I said, I love Kristen Ashley, but Ty and Lexi are one of my favorite couples of all time. In her stories, just what they've had to go through, where they're at, and how they have to work together, it just, to me, it's just so, it pulls on my feels, so this is definitely number 2 of my Kristen Ashley books. You're like, Sarah, wait, you just said it was one of your all-time favorites. Yeah, but there's one that will never not be my favorite, so this one is number 2, and I love them so much. They are my favorite couple. It's just so good. I highly recommend Kristen Ashley, but I thought I'd give you a little bit of insight into that story. And now that I've talked your ear off about Kristen Ashley and the things that go on in Lady Luck, I am now going to close this video with, let me know down below any romance novels that you've been currently reading, if you've been loving them, which ones were they, and let me know your thoughts on these books, if you're gonna pick them up, if you've already read them, anything like that. And yeah, I think that's all I really have to say for this video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!